So I used to really struggle with my mental state and how to stay in a positive mindset. And a cornerstone of making this transition is one where you level up your consciousness. And I want to explain four levels of thinking that you can use to see okay, this is the level of thought that I'm at. And using this process to get higher up so you can ultimately really reach a state of presence, of inner peace, of working towards enlightenment if you want to get that spiritual. And just live a good life, and in turn, because you feel good, increase the results that you're getting all across the board. Because this is something that my business partner really taught me. If you just feel good, everything good will come to you once the time is ready for it. So the first level of thought is what I'd say most people are in, which is just complete unawareness of their thoughts. Or they are aware of their thoughts, they're very aware of their thoughts, where they're constantly engaged in them, they're constantly guided by them, they're constantly stressed out by their thoughts if their thoughts are not good. They ultimately have a set program that is running inside of their brain, or we can call the program Billy or whatever, we can give it a name. And this program that is running inside of our brain is constantly trying to make sense of the world. So it'll say, if you see a nice car, it'll say, ooh, a Lamborghini. If it's raining, ooh, this weather sucks. It'll constantly explain what is going on around you in the world. And it does this because it helps us to feel safe, even though it's kind of weird. Why would you be talking to yourself all day? Now, if your baseline program of whatever Billy might be telling you is average, it's probably not very good. It's built from childhood, from the system, news, whatever your current influences are. They have largely determined what our kind of set program is, what our thoughts are. Because it's not that our external reality actually creates our thoughts, right? This is just depending on how you respond to certain things and what your baseline thoughts are. Now, above the level of unawareness over your own thoughts, there is the level of trying to control the thought. The level of, oh, my brain is telling me something I don't want. Let me try to fight it. Let me put up resistance to what is said. And there's this great saying of what you resist persists. It's just a thought, right? By placing energy into the thought, that is the moment when you actually give it a life form, right? You're feeding the thought. And so this rarely works. You can tell your brain things like, if you have full authority, full conviction over your brain, you can just tell it to shut the fuck up, and you can be dead serious about that, and that will work. But for most people, and especially if you don't have that kind of control, if anything, you just make it worse. And so you generally don't want to be resisting things. You just want to accept things because it's just a program that is running. It's like the TV, like being on a channel that you essentially do not like. And you just can't change the channel, or you can do so over time. But even if you can't change it right now, in the flick of a switch, you can just stop accepting whatever it is saying. The level that comes above that, which is kind of the frequent theme, is trying to reshape our thoughts, reprogram the thoughts. And I generally recommend, or definitely recommend, to do this. I do this as well. In the morning, I have a very clear live document of this is the vision that I'm working towards. These are the principles that I live by. But they're not the most important level, because you're still identifying with your thoughts. And this can really help to improve the baseline of your thoughts, outside of just actually living in alignment with yourself and never missing, right? Because then you reprogram your thoughts faster than just telling yourself positive shit. If you get real evidence of you being the shit, then that is much more powerful. But beyond that, a higher level, and ultimately the highest level, is simply to stop thinking, to stop identifying with thought. Because if you are even thinking, you are essentially not attacking life hard enough. When you have moments where you were at your happiest, when you have moments where you were absolutely just crushing it and moving through life at an extremely fast pace, this is flow state. And we're not really thinking in flow state. We're just intuitively making decisions. And so if you are able to tap into this, and also this makes you far more productive. We've seen 500% increases in productivity with executives that can tap into flow state. It's huge if you can tap into this, the amount of increases in work capacity and those results that you'll have. But at the core of entering this, it's just to stop thinking. This state of being is very often spoken about in Zen Buddhism, the concept of Mushin, which is like no mind. And it's also spoken about in the Dhammapada in a very interesting way. So I pulled up 2 quotes from there, which I was just reading today, and I thought this was extremely useful. So at first it says, better than power over all the earth, better than going to heaven, and better than dominion over the worlds is the joy of the man who enters the river of life that leads to nirvana. And then later on, now the question is, what is the river that leads there? It speaks about if you can be silent or in silent quietness, like a broken gong that is silent, you have reached the peace of nirvana. So it literally tells you that if you can quiet the mind, if you can be in stillness, then you're automatically going towards nirvana, which is like enlightenment in Buddhism. And there's a ton of philosophical references to this concept, so I'm not going to dive into all of that in this video, but really try to make a practice of being completely present, of completely accepting whatever the circumstance is. And no matter what your external circumstance is right now, no matter how good it is or how bad it is, just accept it for what it is. Be present in the moment, and if there is some type of suffering in your present moment, understand that this is a perfect gift from your past self to experience your present self to its fullest, right? Because in pretty much any situation, I would say every situation that is negative, you had some type of control over that. And you can either say, woe is me, or you can accept the tiny bit or the big bit, depends on the situation, of responsibility, of control that you do have, and just use that going forward, rather than letting anything drag you down. And then, even if there's nothing wrong, we can be in an extremely negative state. So stop identifying with that. Hope this is helpful.